Most people lose in life for one simple reason. You keep reacting to things you were never meant to control. You wake up already tense. You check your phone. Someone said something. Something didn't go your way. Something annoyed you. And without even realizing it, your mood, your energy, your entire day is hijacked. Not by reality, but by your reaction to it. Right now, while you're watching this, someone else is mastering her mind and quietly pulling further ahead of you. Not because she's smarter. Not because she's more talented. Not because life treats her better. But because she learned one mental shift you haven't. She stopped letting external chaos dictate her internal state. Most people never learn this. They live on autopilot. They react. They complain. They blame. And then they wonder why they stay stuck in the same emotional and financial position year after year. If part of you is thinking, I already know this, pause. That thought isn't confidence, it's resistance. And resistance is how the mind protects weakness. Because if you truly knew this, you would be living it. You would be calmer, sharper, harder to shake. This video isn't here to comfort you. It's here to expose the gap between who you are and who you could be. So subscribe now without overthinking it. Because if you don't build inner discipline on purpose, life will build weakness in you by default. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's not about suppressing pain, pretending you don't care, or walking through life cold and detached. Stoicism is about being unbreakable. It's about feeling everything: pressure, anger, disappointment, fear, and still choosing control. Still choosing discipline. Still choosing strength. Every single day, you're tested. Tested by disrespect when someone crosses a line. Tested by loss when something you valued is taken from you. Tested by temptation when comfort calls louder than purpose. Tested by stress when responsibility piles up. Tested by failure when effort doesn't immediately reward you. These tests are constant, relentless, unfair. And here's the mistake most people make. They obsess over what happens to them. Why me? Why now? Why is life like this? Stoicism cuts through that weakness with one hard question. Who do you become when it happens? Because life doesn't pause for your emotions. It doesn't negotiate with your feelings. It doesn't soften its blows because you're tired or overwhelmed. Stoicism teaches one brutal truth that most people avoid. Life doesn't care about your feelings, but your character decides your outcome. Character is what speaks when you're provoked. Character is what acts when no one is watching. Character is what remains when motivation disappears. Once you truly understand this, not intellectually, but practically, everything begins to change. Your reactions slow down instead of exploding. Your confidence comes from self-mastery, not validation. Your power stops leaking into complaints and starts forming discipline. You stop asking life to be easier, and you start becoming harder to break. That is Stoicism. Principle 1. Control is an illusion. The truth. You don't control what happens to you. You never have. You never will. What you do control, always, is how you respond. Most people waste their lives fighting reality. They argue with what already happened. They replay conversations. They wish events had gone differently. And every time they do, they hand over their peace to something they cannot change. A man is not disturbed by events, but by the view he takes of them. This isn't philosophy for books. It's a survival rule. Events are neutral. Your interpretation is what turns them into suffering. When something goes wrong, you pause instead of exploding. You create space between stimulus and response. In that space is power. The mind creates suffering by demanding reality obey it. The moment you say, this shouldn't be happening, you double the pain. First comes the event. Then comes your resistance. You get ignored, rejected, disrespected. And instead of staying grounded, your mind spirals. You refresh messages. You overthink tone. You replay moments that are already gone. A Stoic warrior accepted storms, famine, exile, without complaint. Complaining didn't stop the storm. Discipline did. Ask yourself daily, is this within my control? If not, drop it immediately. Refuse to bleed energy into what you cannot command. Principle 2. Emotions are signals, not commands. The truth. Feeling something doesn't mean you should act on it. Emotion is information, not instruction. Most people live as slaves to whatever they feel in the moment. Anger speaks, and they obey. Fear rises, and they retreat. Desire appears, and discipline collapses. Strong emotions make weak decisions. A Stoic doesn't deny emotion. He refuses to be ruled by it. You observe anger instead of obeying it. You feel it fully, then let it pass without letting it choose for you. Emotions pass. Consequences stay. What you say in seconds can echo for years. One angry text, one impulsive post, one reckless reaction, and a relationship, career, or reputation is damaged beyond repair. Stoics trained restraint as a form of power. To remain calm while provoked was proof of mastery. Delay action by 24 hours when emotional. Power grows in the pause. Control returns when emotion loses urgency. Principle 3. Pain is training. The truth. Comfort weakens you. Resistance sharpens you. If your life is built around avoiding discomfort, you will never develop strength. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation. The obstacle is the way. What blocks your path is the path. You lean into difficulty instead of escaping it. You stop asking, how do I avoid this? And start asking, what is this building in me? Pain reveals who you really are. It strips away excuses and exposes character. Cold mornings. Hard conversations. Showing up when motivation dies. This is where identity is forged. Stoics practiced voluntary hardship, fasting, cold exposure, simplicity, to prepare for real loss. Do one uncomfortable thing daily, on purpose. Discomfort chosen builds resilience. Discomfort avoided builds fear. Principle 4. Your reputation is not your identity. The truth. What others think of you is not your business. The moment you let public opinion define you, you surrender control of your life to people who don't even know you. A man's worth is measured by his actions, not applause. Approval is unstable. Principles are not. You act according to principle, not validation. You do what is right, even when it's misunderstood. External approval creates internal slavery. When praise disappears, so does confidence. Social media praise controls weak minds. Likes become identity. Silence becomes anxiety. Stoics accepted exile, ridicule, and misunderstanding. They valued integrity over image. Act correctly, even if no one sees it. Especially when no one sees it. When you apply Stoicism, something fundamental shifts inside you. You stop begging life to be easier, and you start becoming stronger. You no longer waste energy wishing circumstances were different. You accept reality as it is, and then you work with it, not against it. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once broke you becomes training. Under pressure, you stay calm. Not because you feel nothing, but because you've learned control. Where others panic, you slow down. Where others react, you observe. In chaos, you remain focused. Noise loses its power over you. Distractions fade. You stop being pulled in 10 directions by emotion, opinion, and impulse. Your attention becomes deliberate, sharp, unshakable. In silence, you become dangerous. Not loud, not reactive, not desperate to prove anything. Dangerous because you act with intention, not ego. Because you don't announce your moves, you execute them. She no longer controls you with emotion. Provocation stops working. Manipulation fails. Drama doesn't hook you. You see emotional tactics for what they are and refuse to participate. Circumstances no longer own you. Good days don't inflate you. Bad days don't destroy you. You remain steady while the world swings wildly around you. Fear no longer drives you. You still feel it, but it no longer decides. Discipline does. You stop chasing motivation, because motivation is unreliable. You replace it with something far stronger. You don't need motivation. You have discipline. You don't rise to the level of your desires. You fall to the level of your discipline. Most people misunderstand this line because they want it to be inspirational. It isn't. It's a warning. Desire is cheap. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants respect, confidence, freedom, peace. Wanting costs nothing. You can desire greatness while living in comfort, distraction, and excuses. Discipline is different. Discipline is what remains when desire fades. It's what shows up when motivation disappears, when no one is watching, when results are slow and progress feels invisible. In moments of pressure, you don't suddenly become the person you wish you were. You become the person your habits have trained you to be. When life applies weight, it exposes the truth. And the truth is always found in your discipline. If your discipline is shallow, you crumble. If it's inconsistent, you hesitate. If it's absent, you collapse. This is why emotional peaks never change lives, but daily structure does. This is why promises fail but routines endure. This is why talk means nothing without action. Stoicism understands this deeply. It doesn't ask what you want. It asks what you practice. It doesn't care about potential. It cares about proof. Every decision you repeat is a vote for who you become. Every time you choose comfort over effort, you train weakness. Every time you choose discipline over ease, you forge strength. When pressure arrives, and it always does, you won't rise to your hopes, dreams, or intentions. You will fall, precisely, to the level of your discipline. Most people won't change. Not because they can't, but because they won't. They'll scroll past hard truths. They'll nod in agreement and do nothing. They'll feel inspired for a moment, then return to comfort. They'll forget this message the second life distracts them again. And slowly, quietly, they'll stay exactly where they are, weak, reactive, and controlled. If you don't want to be one of them, subscribe now. Not later. Not after you think about it. Hesitation is how discipline dies before it's born. This channel isn't for everyone. It's for men who value inner discipline over comfort. Men who would rather be calm than loud. Strong rather than liked. Controlled rather than emotional. Like the video, not for validation, but as a signal to yourself that you're choosing a higher standard. Share it with someone who still lets life control them. Someone who reacts instead of responds. Someone who needs this reminder, even if she resists it. Because if you don't master your mind, something else will.